Welcome to Stone & Watch. This is my spoiler review for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. And if you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button and click on that bell so you can be notified for future videos. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And yes, after checking out Ghostbusters Frozen Empire in the theaters opening weekend, I gotta say, this movie was pretty damn badass, I have to say. Now, I don't know exactly what the critics didn't like about this movie, but I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I mean, I really liked how they blend in the OG characters with the new cast and still keeping the focus pretty much mostly on the new cast. I mean, I thought the action was pretty good. Now, I did hear some people complain about the pacing in the first two acts of the film. I thought it went pretty good for 113-minute run time for a movie. I thought it moved pretty good. And they finally mentioned the events from the second film. But I also want to say that that scene that was in this movie was not the same scene that they showed in the trailer. And actually, there was a couple scenes that were in the trailer that were not in the movie. I mean, it didn't take away from the experience. It actually kind of made it better, because like when I saw that in the trailer, when the mayor guy was talking about how, like, you know, there was no witnesses and whatnot, and I'm going, what are you talking about? You were there. You were covered in marshmallow. I mean, granted, you weren't in the rooftop where all the stuff was happening. You just got the after effects, but you were there. Everybody saw the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man walking down Fifth Avenue or whatever street in New York it was. And then when he climbed up the building, nobody saw that. You know what I'm saying? But they didn't really talk about that in this movie. But they did mention this events from the second film in this one, even though they were saying they called it a debacle. But they still mentioned it, so I thought that was pretty cool. And I liked how they actually incorporated it in the story. Gil Kenan was the director for this film. I thought he did a pretty damn good job. Now, I'll be quite honest with you, the only other movie on his filmography that I'm familiar with is Monster House. I love that movie. Animated, which, you know, going from an animated to live action is quite something. I thought he did a pretty damn good job. Now, he also co-wrote this movie with Jason Reitman. Now, I'm not really sure exactly why Jason Reitman did not come back to direct this film, but he did stay on as a producer, so I guess he was still at least involved. And they also dedicated this movie to his dad, Ivan Reitman, who directed the first film, which came out 40 years ago this year, which I think was pretty cool. Would have been really kick-ass if they would have got it to where it came out on the same day, but that's not until like in June. So, and there's a lot of big movies come out in June, so you probably didn't want to compete with those movies. I can understand that. And I'm kind of glad we didn't have to wait, because this movie was a lot of fun. I have really enjoyed this movie. Now, if I had to rank all the Ghostbusters movies right now, I probably would have to say the first Ghostbusters is number 1. Afterlife and the second Ghostbusters is pretty much tied for number 2. And this one definitely comes in at number 3. Now, I'm not even going to count the 2016 movie. But that's just me. Starring in this movie, you have Paul Rudd, Carrie Coon, Finn Wolfhard, Mckenna Grace, Kumail Nanjiani, Patton Oswalt, Celeste O'Connor, Logan Kim, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson, and Amy Potts, just to name a few. Now, I want to say that Kumail Nanjiani and Patton Oswalt were an excellent add to the cast. Now, I can't really say so much for Celeste O'Connor, because the only thing I've seen her in was Madam Web, and that wasn't really a good movie. So I can't really judge her. But she was pretty good in this movie, too. But I could have swore I thought they were making it seem like in the trailer that she didn't make it out. But she did. Spoilers. However, I did think that Kumail did a good job. I think Patton Oswalt was a pretty good add to the cast, and he really added on to the story. I really like how they had it to where there was like several layers to the library and stuff like that. And of course, we had the library ghost that showed up in the first movie also making another appearance and also scaring the crap out of Dan Aykroyd again. I thought that was pretty damn funny. Now, I gotta say, probably the one thing about this movie that was kind of a letdown was the fact that Rick Moranis did not make it back into this movie. Now, I'm not saying it didn't ruin the movie for me, but I was kind of hoping, since he wasn't in the trailer, he was actually kind of come back and reprise his role one more time. I mean, does it really fit the story? I guess probably not. Now, I did see somebody say online that, you know, they were complaining of the fact that Sigourney Weaver was not in this movie. She was in the last one. And to be honest with you, I don't really think her character needed to be in this movie, because her and Venkman are no longer together anyway, so it's not like they're a couple still, right? So there goes that part of the story. So why else would she be involved, right? I mean, she's moved on with her life, right? So that doesn't bother me. And I guess for the most part, so did Rick Moranis' character. He moved on with his life. So maybe, just maybe, if this franchise gets a third movie, they can finally talk Rick Moranis to come out of retirement and stop doing just voiceovers and reprise his role one more time, even if it's for like a quick cameo, you know. But it's got to serve the story too, right? Currently, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is sitting with a Rotten Tomatoes score of 43%, with 215 top critics reporting in. Now, only a little less than half of the top critics actually like this movie. Now, I did scamming through most of their reviews just a little bit, and most of them are complaining about they thought the movie was dull. They didn't think that the characters worked all that great together. I disagree. I thought this movie was pretty damn good. I didn't think it was boring at all. I mean, I did kind of, question the story plot a little bit, but I mean, because at first when they showed Phoebe playing chess with that ghost, at first I thought they were trying to pull a whole nother Egon coming back to play chess with his granddaughter and stuff like that again. I'm like, oh man, you're really going to go there? And when it turned out to be a totally different ghost, I'm going, oh, okay. And I liked how they played that into the story. I mean, it was a little wonky at times, a little bit, but for the most part, I liked it. I thought this movie was pretty damn good. Now, I think I kind of like Afterlife a little bit more, but I thought this was a good sequel to that. I thought Paul Rudd was pretty funny in this movie. I thought some of the other moments were pretty good. I mean, there were a lot of fan service stuff in here, but I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't think they didn't beat it over your head or anything. I mean, there was more of it in this movie compared to Afterlife, but all in all, I thought this movie was pretty damn solid. I liked it. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. The general consensus for the critics is this: Ghostbusters Frozen Empire offers a certain amount of nostalgic-fueled fun for fans of the original, but crowded cast and surprisingly serious tone prevent this sequel from truly sparking. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, but I thought this was pretty damn good. I liked how there was a brand new villain. It wasn't the same thing over and over and over again. I thought they did a pretty good job. I liked it. That's all I can really say. Now, over on the audience side, it's sitting with a score of 84%, with 1,000+ fans telling you what they think. Now, majority of the fans are really loving this movie. I mean, this movie was a lot of fun. I'm not saying it's like the best movie I've ever saw, but so far, it's one of my favorites for 2024. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire did manage to take #1 at the box office this weekend with an estimated $45.2 million, which is actually about $1 million less than what Afterlife made at the box with $44 million. Now, that was underneath different circumstances at the time, because when Afterlife came out, we were just barely starting to go back to the theater, so that did not make any money at the box office whatsoever. So I'm hoping that Frozen Empire is going to perform a little bit better, seeing how the circumstances that we're facing right now are not the same. You know what I mean? I was actually kind of shocked that they actually did greenlight a sequel to that movie, because the bad box office, even though it wasn't its fault, is because of the time, the situation that we are in. You know what I'm saying? So now with a budget of $100 million, that's right, you heard me correctly, with a budget of $100 million. This movie looked like it was effects heavy. I find it hard to believe that they actually were able to pull this off for $100 million, but that's awesome, because with their domestic box office, which was $45.2 million, and including their international haul, that brings their total to $61.6 million. That's over half their budget, and that's not including like their marketing. So they could probably have to get like about $350 million just to break even. But that's saying that they had a really heavy marketing campaign, which I don't know if they really did or not. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that they had like at least like a $50 million marketing budget for this thing. So that's like, I don't know, at least $300 million to $350 million, and then after that, it's all nothing but profit, right? So hopefully they can make it. I mean, this movie was awesome. I really hope it makes some money so they can make another one, because I want to see this crew again. You know what I'm saying? We will just have to wait and see if in week 2 Frozen Empire can scare away the competition. However, they got two monsters they got to contend with. Godzilla x Kong New Empire will be hitting theaters next week. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's the exact same fan base that's going to go see that movie that's going to see this movie, but I don't know. I mean, we'll have to wait and see what the drop off is, and we have to wait and see whether or not if King Kong and Godzilla can knock Frozen Empire out of the #1 spot, which I think it's going to. Personally, I think it's going to happen. I think Godzilla x Kong is going to take #1 at the box office next week. I could be wrong, but I think that's how it's going to go. But overall, man, all I can say is I really had a lot of fun watching this movie. I can't wait to see this movie again. Now, there was a credit scene for this movie, and I guess you could see if you really want to, but it's not like it really feeds into anything else. It was a pretty cool moment. It wasn't like the best credit scene I ever saw, but it wasn't like the worst one either. I was talking to a lady that was sitting next to me and stuff like that, who has not seen Afterlife. She didn't even know that was a thing. So, and after talking about that, and she was talking about the mini marshmallow man, I was like, well, yeah, it's kind of like they were in the last movie, and now it's kind of like a running joke thing that they keep bringing up and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I think those little guys are funny as all damn hell. They do add a little comedy to the movie for sure. So did you get a chance to go out to the theaters and check Ghostbusters Frozen Empire? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. You think this movie was any good? Let me know in the comments down below. And where do you rank it with the other Ghostbusters movies? Let me know in the comments down below. I already gave you my list, man. Let's hear yours. So let me know what you think in the comments down below.